So thing is, all my life I've always been a really avid reader ever since I was little. I was an early reader, and then in elementary school I got into writing creative writing, but it was mostly prose at that time. Poetry wasn't really something that I had really ventured into. And it wasn't until my freshman year that I was kind of looking for a challenge away from prose, something else to kind of like broaden my kind of literature interests. So I discovered poetry and I started reading many different poets, and I kind of just, my interest for it just grew from there. And I began to write it, which eventually led to the National Student Poets Program. And answering your second question, it definitely means a lot to me because where I'm from, poetry is kind of like on the fringe. It's not something that's really talked about or discussed a lot. Before the program, I'd never met another like poet in my life before, so it's been really great just to meet so many amazing people who are all so passionate, not only about the program, but also about poetry. And I've had so many opportunities to connect with people and talk with them and share all of our interests and passions. It's been great. So I live in Sandy Hook, and so my poetry community service project idea kind of revolves around taking the tragedy that happened there 2 years ago and kind of having a series of workshops. I'm planning on working with Healing Newtown Through the Arts, which is an organization that was founded immediately afterwards to kind of organize like arts efforts around the community and to kind of create like positive change. So my project specifically, I'm hoping to have it in two parts. So one of them would be like a community poem. So being able to have people from all over the community kind of contribute their ideas around this one theme and a positive theme, such as either hope or unity, something that could really like, bring the community together. And then the other phase of it would be having a series of workshops that would focus on kind of reflecting upon the world both externally and internally, and also it would use poetry as a way to promote empathy. At the end, I hope to have a final poetry night where I could take both of these community poems that were generated and also the workshop participants and just bring all these different things together to show that poetry, it's not only a way to reflect on the past, but also a way to kind of move on into the future. A lot of my first drafts of poems are just very stream of consciousness. Whatever comes to my mind really just goes on the page. And I feel like that's just really exciting, just being able to take all of these kind of thoughts that haven't really been formed yet and watching them just take shape on the page and watching them grow over time into more, I guess, polished pieces of work. Okay. So this one is called Goldfish. Her bones are sharp and angular, steel beams jutting out from taut canvas, and her eyes are two quivering seawater orbs, staring agape like light bulbs ordered a size too large. She's 42, but shrinking. A t-shirt left to shrivel on Nebraska telephone wires, the grade soap water leached by 100,000 thirsty pixels of sky. At home, she's smaller. She wraps fabric threads around her waist and calls it a dress. She had to use the others to mend his plaid shirt. She walks and whispers, bows to the Lord at 6 p.m., and sells the beads on her anklet to follow him across dead-end roads and cornfield highways. Home is not a sanctuary, but a bird's nest of contradictions. Old keys rusted from caustic engine breath, crumpled bits of styrofoam in days-old tea, a time-worn vacuum cleaner in the corner, always wheezing, spools of blue-eyed lace ribbon unworn. Sometimes, when she's home alone, she feeds the goldfish and tries to build a house of cards. Her hands are deft as she gingerly places one on top of the other, but the house never rises higher than the kitchen doorknob, its peak always scraping just below it. He pocketed the king card long ago.